This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
Wow, what a morning, what a day. Things are happening fast and furiously. The stock market is soaring, but we're not going to get excited because it's early. We've done that before. We'll wait. We'll wait and keep an eye on it. The Karen Read trial is underway. Yes, the second trial of Karen Read, the second attempt at the state of Massachusetts to frame Karen Read for the murder of her boyfriend, Boston police officer. And we'll see how this one goes, but I have a feeling we're wasting taxpayers' money yet again. My prediction, another hung jury. Though they can't convince everybody on the jury of their ridiculous theory that she backed up 60 feet at 20 miles an hour, wherever it was, and took him out, John O'Neill, in the snow. Just too much reasonable doubt. It ain't going to work. The first trial lasted 9 weeks. This one, God, I don't think I can handle 9 more weeks of this absolute madness in the Karen Read trial. And the 4 members of the House, 4 Democratic congressmen, as far as we know, are still in El Salvador. Maybe I'll get my wish. And the great man, President Bukele, will keep them. You know, he can come up with something. He doesn't hesitate to put people in jail down there. Maybe they'll, spit on the sidewalk and he can take them into custody. But the good news is taxpayers didn't fund this trip. The House, I believe Jamie Comer, refused to pay for this one. The Republican Congressional Committee offered to pay as long as they videotaped the whole trip and posted it online live. They declined. I guess they paid for it themselves, but they humiliated themselves just like Van Hollen, Senator Chris Van Hollen, did before they got there. These people have lost their minds. They are all in on an MS-13 gang member, human trafficker, wife beater. That's their guy. We will get to that, but we have to start with this because it is, in my mind, the first real battle of the Trump administration. We knew they would come for Trump guys, for Trump cabinet members, for Trump advisors. We knew there would be coordination between Democrats and the fake news, and they would attempt to take out a Trump guy. And clearly, it is Pete Hegseth. That's who they're coming for. And I'll say this. If there were a President Romney in the White House right now, or a President Nikki Haley, Hegseth would be gone already. I've lived through a lot of these, and generally you see weak, spineless Republicans buckle under the pressure from the media, and they say, we're going to move on. We've agreed to part ways, and we'll find some swamp creature, some retired general, some politician to take over the post at the Department of Defense. But Hegseth is a different breed. This is why Trump picked him. It was a very unorthodox pick. He was never a general. He never worked for Raytheon. He was never in elected office. In fact, when he ran, he lost. He was a 20-year veteran, a combat veteran, a young guy, really young guy, and it was an unusual pick, and they came hard after him during the confirmation hearings, as you know. They dug deep into his private life and accused him of being an alcoholic and a philanderer and everything else. He made it through. He got confirmed. He's been in the post for 2 months now, but they're not going to stop. We lived through the first signal scandal when he was communicating with his staff and the rest of the guys on his team through Signal, and they're doing it again. They're now claiming that he shared classified information on Signal with his wife and his brother and his lawyer. Well, I have a question, and I have yet to see an answer to this. In fact, Greg Kelly covered this last night, and he went over the details. He went over the actual instructions given to Hegseth and other members of the Trump team when they took office. and it says literally use Signal. They were told when it was installed on their devices, and they were told to use Signal when conducting sensitive discussions. And he's done that. He did that. Now, is Signal foolproof? Of course not. Somebody, we still don't know who, included Jeffrey Goldberg from The Atlantic, a renowned Trump hater, the king of the hoaxes in the media, the guy who made up the story that Trump called war veterans who lost their life in Europe suckers and losers, completely made it up. They advanced every hoax, the Russia hoax, the Fine People hoax. That's Atlantic Magazine. That's what they do. And someone included Goldberg. We still don't know who. Was it Mike Walls? Was it a Walls staffer? I'm not sure. We should have an answer to that. We still don't. But again, they're going back to that and saying he's using Signal. He was told to use Signal. It was explicitly instructed, use Signal. Anyway, that's not all. NPR is reporting, yes, NPR, National Panhandle Radio, is reporting that Trump is looking for a new Secretary of Defense. The search is on. They have one anonymous source in the White House, in the Pentagon. By the way, of course there's going to be leaks. Of course there's going to be anonymous sources. He's cleaning house. That's what he was hired to do, and he's doing it, and I love it. This wouldn't happen if they went with a traditional Secretary of Defense. If they went with another Lloyd Carr, another Mike Esper, this wouldn't happen. You needed Hegseth. That's why he was hired, because he wasn't a general. He wasn't a swamp creature who worked for defense contractors. He was a different pick, an unorthodox pick, and he was uniquely qualified to go in there and shake it up and clean house. And what happens when you fire entrenched bureaucrats? You get leaks to NPR and Politico and the New York Times, and that's what we're seeing. Now, some of these people were Trump loyalists. They were Hegseth's guys. But that doesn't change the fact that if they leak, he's going to get rid of them. If they're not there for the express purpose of changing the culture, of fighting the deep state and the swamp, and no place has more swamp creatures in the Pentagon. I'm sorry. All these retired generals, you know, the ones with big salaries, the ones who are eating lobster and ribeye, we've gone over that. I'll say it again. In September last year, 7 months ago, 8 months ago, the Pentagon spent $6 million on lobster tails. That's what he's changing. That's the difference now with Pete Hegseth over the last guy, Lloyd Austin, who was a former general, a former Raytheon board member, who was obese, who went missing for days when no one knew where he was. He was the opposite of Hegseth, and nobody ever called for his head, even after the Afghanistan disaster. No one said, well, it's time to move on. This guy just isn't up for the job. They love him. They loved him. He was perfect. He could be controlled. He could greenlight the lobster and the ribeye and all the other wasteful deals, wasteful contracts. Hegseth is changing that, and they're coming for him. The White House immediately said it was fake news that NPR had. I mean, the idea that NPR has any source in the Pentagon other than a disgruntled former employee who was fired by Hegseth is laughable. They don't have any connections. This is so silly. He's gonna survive. We're gonna look back at this and say, so looks like NPR just made it up, because that's what they do. They want to hurt Trump, stop Trump, and they think this guy is vulnerable. I don't think so. I think they are going to lose this battle because, again, Hegseth was hired because he's a fighter. Hegseth was hired because he's young, he's full of energy, and he's all in on the Trump agenda. And he's moving forward, and he's changing the culture. And the Defense Department is setting records for recruitment. They've exceeded all their goals in every branch. We haven't seen this in decades. It's exactly what we wanted to see, what Trump wanted to see. As Hegseth never fails to point out, we're done with DEI. We're done with climate change. We're done with trans nonsense in the military. That hurts. That cuts deep to the deep state, to the media. You think an NPR guy isn't enraged at the thought of the Defense Department saying we're no longer going to do climate change? Hell, that's their number one priority. Climate change, NPR, affirmative action. They want that. They need that. That's their lifeblood. And he's bringing an end to it. And he is going nowhere. I'm convinced that they won't stop coming after him, and he won't stop fighting back. And Trump said 2 days ago at the White House at the Easter egg roll, said Pete is doing a great job. Asks the Houthis how Pete is doing. It is worth noting that the thing they're upset about is sharing classified plans about a mission against the Houthis in Yemen. It went great. It didn't fail. We didn't lose any lives. We didn't lose any aircraft. Just the opposite of what happened in Afghanistan. We lost 13 service members. We lost hundreds of civilians. Lloyd Austin and Mark Milley and Joe Biden greenlit a retaliatory strike that killed 10 innocent people, including 7 children. And Lloyd Austin, not only did he not get fired, nobody even demanded his fire. Nobody at NPR, nobody in Politico thought that was a deal breaker, that maybe the guy is not a very good Secretary of Defense. But Hegseth, he went on Signal, which he was told to do, and communicated with his people. And now they want him fired. They want him out. Chuck Schumer demanding he must be fired. Jamie Raskin, he must be fired. Well, good luck with that, guys. That's all I could say. I want this. This is what I voted for. I want them to fight for the Trump agenda, and I want them to fight the media and the deep state and the swamp and the scum that has been ripping off the public and failing at every turn for years and years. Let's hear from Pete Hegseth this morning. He's not backing down. He said so at the Easter egg roll, and he's going nowhere. Trump's not giving up on him. Trump is just like him. He knows what he's dealing with better. He didn't know first time around. He knows this time, and he knows he has to stand by his man. Here's Hegseth this morning.
They've come after me from day one, just like they've come after President Trump. I mean, I've gotten a fraction of what President Trump got in that first term. What he's endured is superhuman. It's not hard for me to do this job. I know exactly why I'm here. To bring warfighting and the warfighting ethos back to the Pentagon, to rip out the insidious ideologies and not compromise and not back down. To bring in new press voices into the Pentagon, which we've done, to reestablish standards and accountability, to not tolerate leakers, to 100% operational control of our border, to get rid of trans lunacy in the military. We haven't backed down. See, here's the thing. A lot of people come to Washington and they just play the game. And it's you punch their ticket and get along to go along. And, start doing Meet the Press and going to the Council on Foreign Relations and spending time with all the new cocktail sipping crowd. That's not why I'm here. I'm here because President Trump asked me to bring warfighting back to the Pentagon every single day. Right. That is our focus. And if people don't like it, they can come after me. No worries. I'm standing right here. The warfighters are behind us. Our enemies know they're on notice. Our allies know we're behind them. And that, in this dangerous world, for the American people is what it's all about.
In the NPR story, journalist Tom Bowman cites an anonymous U.S. official as a source and detailed that the potential job shift was connected to Hegseth's recent fumbles in the position, most specifically his accidental sharing of the government's plan to launch military strikes on Yemen which were first released by the Atlantic's Jeffrey Goldberg after he was accidentally added to the group chat. Well, again, Hegseth didn't add him. He didn't add him. It wasn't his fumble. It wasn't his accident. And the mission was wildly successful. Karen Levitt tweeted out, the NPR story is totally fake news based on one anonymous source who clearly has no idea what they're talking about. As the president said this morning, he stands strongly behind the Secretary of Defense. The White House has denied and maintained no classified information or war plans were shared in the Signal chat discussions. This disputed update came after the New York Times reported that Hegseth shared details about the Yemen strike in a different Signal chat with his wife, younger brother, and his lawyer. Well, it didn't affect the mission, and he did as he was told. I pray that Trump continues to stand by him because these attacks aren't going to stop. This is what they've decided. This is the man they want to bring down. If Trump does bail on Hegseth, watch out. That will just open the doors. That will appear weak. That will appear like he is concerned about the efforts of the deep state, of the media, of that whole cocktail sipping, meet the press crowd. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think Trump is all in on Hegseth, and I think he's doing a spectacular job. And it's going to get better. He's going to continue to fire people, fire leakers, fire hacks, entrenched bureaucrats. I don't even think they've begun the Doge effort yet at the Pentagon, but I look forward to that. That should be a prime doging spot because there is massive waste in the Pentagon and everybody knows it. It used to be untouchable. You can't touch the Pentagon. That's off limits. We need to continue to pour billions into this department. We need to continue to fund, I believe it's 750 military installations around the world, 45,000 troops in Germany, Japan, South Korea. I say, cut it all back. Cut it all back. America first. That's the agenda. And Pete Hegseth is just the man to do it. They must be just following his every step. They must be looking through his trash right now, looking for, high school teammates, basketball teammates at Princeton, trying to find somebody who can bring them some dirt on Hegseth because they've decided he must go. We need people like Lloyd Austin back in that position. We need defense contractors and fat, bloated generals. No more. I love this pick, and I look forward to Trump standing by him for 4 years. All right, let's get to this. Our daily update on the Democrats' effort to free, to release, to coddle a MS-13 wife-beating human trafficker. I know you're probably a little sick of hearing about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, but we got to talk about it because the Democrats doubled down on insanity. We talked about Chris Van Hollen, senator from Maryland's trip to El Salvador, where he had drinks with Abrego Garcia, where they had a moment. It was like a great Tinder date where they just sat there and Van Hollen looked in his eyes and they felt a real connection. As somebody said, he didn't ask him if he was MS-13. He didn't ask him if he abused his wife. Those are kind of second date questions. So maybe next time they won't just do lunch. There's no pressure on lunch. Maybe next time they'll do dinner and a movie. Maybe they'll spend the night together. But this was such a bad look. It was such a colossal blunder. It is worse than any political stunt we have ever seen, what Chris Van Hollen did. By the way, 2 more illegal aliens arrested for murder yesterday in Maryland, in Chris Van Hollen's state. Doesn't stop the Democrats. 4 of them headed to El Salvador yesterday. I believe they are still there. Reps Robert Garcia of California, Maxwell Frost of Florida, Yasmin Ansari of Arizona, and Maxine Dexter of Oregon. They all released videos with real serious, solemn looks on their faces and talked about how they have to get Abrego Garcia back to his family. Oh, it's so important. This guy who's a resident, a citizen of El Salvador, is in his home country. He has no right to be in the U.S. We know that. We've gone over it. Illegal alien, killer, wife beat. I mean, not killer, not that we know of. Wife beater, human trafficker, confirmed member of MS-13. Let's not pretend anymore. Can we just stop with this alleged? It was confirmed by ICE, by a local sheriff who said he's 100% sure he's MS-13. 2 immigration judges by El Salvador. He was arrested with other members of MS-13. He has MS-13 code tattooed on his hand, which is why his wife blurted out in any post of anytime she posted photos of the family. He's MS-13, and Democrats want him back. They are fighting to bring him back. They traveled, they flew 5 hours, apparently on their own dime or on their, campaign contributors' dime to get there and see him. They were denied by Bukele, which is too bad. I was hoping he'd set up another lunch date with these 4 clowns, absolute fools, who went down there. And I have a question for all 4 of them. Did you travel to Maui after the fires or Pacific Palisades? Did you make it to East Palestine after the train derailment? Did you make it to Western North Carolina after the devastating hurricanes? Do you give a damn about American citizens, or is your sympathy reserved for an illegal alien MS-13 gang member, human trafficker, wife beater? Is that for whom your heart bleeds? Do you know there's an American still being held hostage in Gaza? At least one, Eden Alexander, an American, still alive. Have you said a word about him? Do you care about him? Or do you only care about tatted up gang members? Just horrible people. That's who you're demanding they release from a prison in his home country so we can return to the place where he was being his wife and human trafficking and doing all kinds of gang-related things. Is that really your top priority? Does that make any sense to anyone at this point? Again, Trump, or I don't know, maybe Stephen Miller, set the trap, and these fools just fell into it. Truly amazing. Can you get to the Robert Garcia clip? Because they all put out videos and said this is the most important thing in the world to them, getting a gang member back in the United States. Truly amazing. Here's just one of the reps who are still, as far as we know, in El Salvador, begging Bukele to let them bring this poor Maryland father back home. He is home. Go ahead.
Hey, it's Congressman Garcia. I am here in El Salvador with a group of House Democrats advocating for the release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, and of course, checking in on so many folks who have been sent here without due process. The Supreme Court has ordered unanimously that Kilmar Garcia should come back home to the United States. We also know that he was sent here wrongfully. The Trump administration admitted that. We have met now with the U.S. Embassy here, the ambassador. We're meeting with advocates on the ground who are organizing here in El Salvador. We've talked to Abrego Garcia's family, which is heartbreaking. And more importantly, we're here to raise awareness that Kilmar needs to come home. We need to build support here in El Salvador, but also in the United States. He must come home. And I'll say this lastly. The president defying a Supreme Court order is a fire alarm moment in this country. We cannot stand for it, and we must ensure that he's held accountable.
This is, he's right. It is a, what do you call it, a five-alarm fire moment or something. This is a seminal moment. This is an amazing moment when you think about it. They are demanding due process for people who entered the country illegally with no due process, just entered, no vetting, no screening. The last president flew them in, let them walk over the border, brought them in by the millions. Gang members, people on the terror watch list, Chinese nationals. We had a wide open border. And not only did no courts, no district court judge issue an injunction, these clowns, these congressmen said nothing. Their communities were overrun by illegal aliens. They said nothing. They went on to it. I'm starting to think, I mean, obviously these are useful idiots. These are clowns. But there was a bigger, darker, more sinister plan by whoever was calling the shots when Biden was the de facto president. They brought them in, and we all voted to kick them out. Clearly, you brought them in. No one stopped them. No one did a thing. It was treason. It was treason. They brought in illegal aliens they knew were going to cause real damage, death, destruction in this country. They didn't care. And they knew Trump would try to kick them all out, and he's trying, but their people in robes, their judges, would stop him. So they knew he would try to kick them out, but they had hope that they would be forced to stay. They would be forced to keep them here, because the process of removing them, if it requires due process for each and every one, as Trump said, would take 200 years. And that's no joke. To kick out 15 to 20 million illegals, if each and every one had lawyers and hearings, it would take forever. So they knew the idea. They knew they could get them here, just fly them in. The media would cheer them and say, and Mayorkas would lie and Kamala would lie, say the border's secure, the border's closed, as they poured in on video. We saw it. Now we can't kick them out. And they knew that they had people in place, judges in place, who would obstruct Trump's effort to do what he promised to do. So it was a long game. It was a plan that would take years, and they thought it's not possible. If we bring in enough, it's not possible to kick them all out. And the idea that this is somehow un-American or authoritarian. Here's a reminder. Obama deported almost 3 million people. Obama, Bush, and Clinton combined, that's 20 years, deported more than 6 million people. 2/3 of them had committed minor infractions or no infractions. They kicked out millions of illegal aliens. Obama himself, again, almost 3 million. No judge tried to stop him. No congressman flew to the country of origin of any illegal aliens. That was okay. This is not. This is Trump, which means it is bad, and they will do anything in their power to stop him. It is outrageous, the idea, the notion that you could just come into our country, don't wait in line, and live here and do whatever you do here, human traffic, beat your wife, deal drugs. It doesn't matter, because we're not going to let him kick you out. I hope people are paying attention, because the effort by Democrats to destroy the country is to mock our sovereignty is just beyond belief. What we're seeing right now. Look it up. No one tried to stop Obama from deporting bad guys who had traffic tickets or no tickets at all. That was okay. This is not. Truly outrageous. All right, we got so much to get to on this Tuesday, April 22nd. Oh, you know what? Let's do that. Let's do that compilation, because this is my favorite video of the day. As always, the Democrats coordinate with the media. It's a team effort, as always. And I don't think they would do this. They would fly to El Salvador, that they would die on this hill, if not for their help, if they didn't get help from the media, if they didn't have, and the mainstream media is not nearly as powerful or influential as it once was, but they still are reliably there as the media wing of the Democrat Party. And they wouldn't go to this effort if they didn't convince people that he's just a Maryland dad, wrongly sent to his home country. But this is amazing. Watch, just listen to the coordination here. Everybody got the memo. He's a Maryland dad. He's a hardworking Maryland resident. He lives and works. He's part of the Maryland community. Check this out.
A Maryland man thought to be wrongly deported.
Maryland man Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
A Maryland man wrongfully deported.
A Maryland man who was mistakenly deported.
The Maryland man that was detained.
The Maryland man mistakenly deported to a prison in El Salvador.
They're not even trying to bring back a Maryland man.
He's a Maryland man.
Maryland man.
The Maryland man. Maryland man. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland man.
The Maryland man. Maryland man.
The Maryland man.
The Maryland man they shipped to El Salvador.
The Maryland man who was sent to El Salvador.
This man from Maryland.
A Maryland man, the case of a Maryland man.
The Maryland man.
Maryland man.
Maryland man.
Maryland man.
That Maryland man.
The case of the Maryland man.
Maryland man.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia, that's a Maryland man.
The Maryland man.
This Maryland man.
The Maryland man.
The Maryland man.
He had no intent of returning the Maryland man.
A wrongly deported man. Maryland man, I should say. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Maryland father.
Kilmar Armando Abrego Garcia. That's the Maryland father.
Maryland father who had been deported.
There's this young man from Maryland, a father.
Maryland father who came here at age 16. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, Maryland father.
Maryland father.
Maryland father.
Mistakenly deported father. The Maryland father mistakenly deported.
The Maryland father who was wrongfully deported. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland father from Maryland.
Maryland father.
This Maryland father who was wrongly deported.
Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland dad.
The Maryland father mistakenly deported.
The Maryland father.
He is not a Maryland man. He is he's an illegal alien from El Salvador with a deportation order from the United States.
All right. What makes him a Maryland man? Because he illegally entered the country and illegally lived in Maryland. Why don't we call the guy who murdered Laken Riley a Georgia man, or the guy who murdered Rachel Marin a Maryland man? And what does it matter if he's a dad? Lots of illegal aliens, lots of gang members, probably most of them are dads. We're supposed to report on MS-13 gang members and say they're Maryland dads, they're husbands, they're Maryland people. It's so absurd. Why? Quick question for you, Anderson Cooper or Rachel Maddow. What makes him a Maryland man? He's not a resident. He's not here in this country legally. He's a gang member. And they just won't give it up. They know they've stepped into a trap and they're doubling down. It's an amazing thing to see. But all right, speaking of Maryland, man, we got to get to Jamie Raskin, who said perhaps the most outrageous thing I think I've ever heard from a congressman. Although we got Ayanna Pressley too, so it's a tough call. We'll get to it all, but first.
Excuse me.
I know that none of you watch porn, but just in case you have any friends that do, help me pass along this important PSA. Incognito mode does not make you incognito. Check the fine print. All your late night activities are still 100% visible to a ton of third parties unless you use ExpressVPN. Without ExpressVPN, these third parties can still see every website you visit, even in incognito mode. They can see your internet service provider, your mobile network provider, the admins of your Wi-Fi network, like your school, your boss, your parents. ExpressVPN reroutes 100% of your traffic through secure encrypted servers so third parties can't see your browsing history. ExpressVPN hides your IP address, making it extremely difficult for third parties to track your online activity. It's easy to use. That's important to me. Fire up the app and click one button to get protected. And it works on all devices, phones, laptops, tablets, and more, so you can stay private on the go. Even if you're not watching porn, you want your data protected. You want your text protected. You don't want to take any chances. Protect your online privacy today by visiting expressvpn.com/Gerry. That's EXPRESSVPN.com/Gerry. And you can get an extra 4 months free. expressvpn.com/Gerry. You know what the big story is? If they weren't busy, just carrying the water of Democrats, the media, you know what the big story would be? The story from Tennessee, where Abrego Garcia was caught human trafficking, literally had 8 people in his car, no luggage, said he was taking them from Texas to Maryland. They suspected him of human trafficking. The Biden FBI told him to let him go. That's why he's no criminal record, because the Biden administration didn't want him arrested for when he was clearly human trafficking. The story was reported by the Tennessee Star and confirmed by DHS. How is that not? Considering they spend half their day talking about Abrego Garcia, seems kind of an important detail to me. Wouldn't you want to know that? Robert Garcia or Senator Van Hollen or Jamie Raskin, wouldn't that matter? But no, I just Google it. You don't get anything. You get Tennessee Star. You get HS Today. DHS releases bombshell investigation on Abrego Garcia human trafficking incident. December 1st, 2021, he was stopped by the Tennessee Highway Patrol for speeding. Upon approaching the vehicle, the accounting officer noted 8 other individuals in the vehicle, no luggage, leading the accounting officer to suspect a human trafficking incident. All the passengers gave the same home address. It was Abrego Garcia's address in Maryland. During the interview, Garcia pretended to speak less English than he was capable of and attempted to put the accounting officer off track by responding to questions with questions. He wasn't the owner of the vehicle. Abrego Garcia replied the owner of the vehicle is his boss and that he worked in construction. They confirmed he was human trafficking. They were told to let him go. Seems like kind of a big deal. Has Rachel Maddow or Anderson Cooper even mentioned this? Of course not. Again, Google it. No mention. No mention unless you get the Tennessee Star or some other, conservative websites. Truly amazing. But the one of the congressmen from Maryland, the disgusting, despicable, reprehensible Jamie Raskin, just a scoundrel if ever there was one. He made a statement, and I don't think he knew what he was saying at the time. He was just talking, typical Democrat. Everything in his mind, his whole mindset is, how can we stop Trump? How can we get people to join the fight against Trump? He was talking about Trump making deals, these trade deals, these tariff deals, and obviously what they're doing right now is trying to get deals done. J.D. Vance said a deal with India is imminent. And as part of these deals, the rumor is that they want them to commit to dealing with the U.S. and not China, to somehow boxing China out. That's the goal. Well, Raskin gets wind of this and says, oh, we can't allow that. What? I don't know. We have to wait and see. But if we do get trade deals with India and South Korea and Japan and the EU, and it's favorable to us and not China, I would think that would be a good thing. Now, maybe it'll fail miserably. Maybe they'll side with China. God knows they can get cheaper stuff from China. They got more people. There's a lot of moving parts here. But wouldn't it be a good thing if we got trade deals favorable to us and not China? Here's Raskin talking about this and threatening our allies. Don't forget, Trump's the bad guy because he's challenging. He's fighting for better trade deals with our allies. That makes him the bad guy. Here's Raskin threatening our allies that if they cooperate with Trump, he's going to get them. Watch.
We should be talking about cutting off aid to El Salvador right now. The whole idea that Bukele doesn't have any power to return an American prisoner who was sent to him under an agreement where he's getting paid $6 million by America is ridiculous. He's our legal agent in this dubious arrangement they've created. Right. Of course, he's got the power to return them. So he and Trump are just acting like a couple of dictators having fun at the expense of a man's life and his family, and they want to be able to do that all over the place. So I like that idea, and it's a complement to something that we need to be doing right now, which is engaging in far more work of transnational democratic solidarity with the democratic governments and the democratic movements and peoples and parties of the world to try to prevent the spread of the lawlessness and the fascist chaos that's been unleashed against us. But implicit in it should be the idea that if and when we come back to power, and we will, we are not going to look kindly upon people who facilitated, to use a word of the day, who facilitated authoritarianism in our country. Because that's an assault on our Constitution and on our people.
So it's assault on our country and our people if you work with the Trump administration, by the way, and you are working, he said, with an authoritarian. So the authoritarian is going to lose power. Do I have that right, Jamie? The authoritarian is going to lose the election in 2 years or 4 years, and you will return to power, and you will see vengeance on countries that cooperated with the elected president of the United States. These people are just despicable when you think about it. That is the epitome of party first, of me first, not America first, not the people of this country first. I don't think he meant to say that, but he did, and it is telling. Speaking of telling, here's the other strategy. Let's just lie. I mean, I know I say this all the time, but Democrats, their first instinct is to just lie. Yeah, he's gonna deport Americans. That's the new take. If they can take Abrego Garcia out of the country, they could take you. You're next. And I was thinking, why? He's not a citizen. He's an MS-13 gang member. He is the exact person Trump promised to deport when we voted for Trump. Why would we be next? Why? But Ayanna Pressley, as usual, all she does is lie. All she does is make everything about race. She is just an embarrassment to this state, to this country. And she thinks Trump, since he is rounding up gang members and criminals and drug dealers and rapists and illegal aliens and kicking them the hell out like he promised to do, you know who's going to be next? Women who have miscarriages. Where do they come up with this? Listen to this lunatic.
With Donald Trump as a dictator seeking to silence dissenting voices, this could happen to any of us. Or you could suddenly be disappeared. You could be disappeared for suffering a miscarriage. You could be disappeared for reading a banned book. You could be disappeared for practicing diversity, equity, and inclusion. You could be disappeared for co-authoring an op-ed.
What? So Trump kicks out MS-13 guys, and next is women who suffer miscarriages. Where do they come up with this? And I wish I could see the whole clip. Does the host call her out? Say, what did you just say? That he's gonna, if you read a banned book, what? There's no banned books. No banned books. So an adult reads a banned book, according to her. In fact, I was in a bookstore over the weekend. They had a whole section of Barnes & Noble, a whole section called banned books. I'm sorry, that kind of, it's kind of an oxymoron that you have a section in your bookstore for banned books. So if I picked up a banned book of some books by Ibrahim X. Kendi, that I could be deported? Or if, my wife or some friend had a miscarriage, they could be deported? God, you people are silly. They're just not serious. This is the problem. I hear this every day on these talk shows. The Democrats they need a leader. They need someone to step up. They have all these clowns like Jamie Raskin and Jasmine Crocker and Tim Walz and Ayanna Pressley. They need someone else. Yeah, they do, but it's not the person. It's the message. It's the words coming out of their mouth. So you tell me if you had the most impressive Democrat person, like, some stud military veteran who happened to be a Democrat, that if he said Trump's going to deport women who have miscarriages, that they'd be doing better, that people would would be resonating. If you had a more impressive person say, he's going to deport you if you read a banned book, that would work better? That would fly with the American public? I don't think so. It's obviously they have these weirdos and lunatics and freaks like Walz and Presley, but they don't have a message. They are extremists. They are lunatics. They are the lunatic fringe. Get that protester from Maine. I want to show you. Obviously, Abrego Garcia is the new darling of the Democrat Party. You know, we also have, Mahmoud, whatever his name is, the 30-year-old student at Columbia, anti-Semite that they're kicking out, sending back to Syria. You got a lot of people. You got Luigi Mangione. You got a lot of darlings of the left. But I haven't seen anyone who captures the movement, the resistance like this. This was a protest over the weekend in Portland, Maine. And this is one of the speakers encouraging people to help hide illegal aliens from ICE. And if you're just listening along, I'd say, I don't know, she checks in at about what, $3 bills? She's got, you can't see it, but she's got like these bright pink high heels, jeans, real big Wrangler jeans, all tatted up. I mean, just spilling out of her clothes, a black t-shirt and a mask. Yes, in 2025, she's wearing a mask and she is rallying the resistance up in Portland, Maine. Watch this.
If you see ICE disappearing people in the streets, will you get in the way? Yes! If you are charged with enforcing any part of the president's unlawful executive orders, will you resist? Yes! If your neighbor needs a place to hide, will you hide them? Yes! And right now, as the Maine legislature is trying to scapegoat transgender student athletes bargaining long-held civil rights away in hopes that it will save Maine's federal funding, will you show up for them and say that our human rights aren't for sale? Yes! Thank you.
I imagine being on her side. Imagine thinking, yeah, that's my guy. That's my guy, my girl. I don't even know. I assume non-binary. Who knows? But that is one of the leaders of the resistance. Probably their next senator, a congressman from Maine, which is almost as lost as Massachusetts. All right, before we go, we got to get to Liz. Let's just do the full, the full madness of the Democrat Party. Yes, my senior senator. I'm not sure. I don't know much about this podcast. It was like Easy Talk podcast or something. Somehow Liz decided to go on. Liz doesn't like pushback. She doesn't go on a lot of shows that are going to call her out for her lies, because when you lie as much as Liz, you can't take that risk. I mean, you have to reserve your appearances for MSNBC and CNN where they will allow you to just lie freely. Anyway, she goes on this podcast and she gets called out for claiming Biden was sharp as a tack, tip top. Liz is one of the liars, one of the people involved with the cover up. And I'm not sure she expected this question, and she sure didn't handle it well. Listen to this.
Do you regret saying that President Biden had a mental acuity? He had a sharpness to him. You said that up until July of last year.
I said what I believe to be true.
And you think he was as sharp as you?
I said I had not seen decline. And I hadn't at that point.
You did not see any decline from 2024 Joe Biden to 2021 Joe Biden?
Not when I said that. The thing is, he was sharp. He was on his feet. I saw him live event. I had meetings with him a couple of times.
Senator, on his feet is not praise. He can speak in sentences is not praise.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Look, it is, the question is, what are we going to do now?
Okay.
Real never has been, to be honest.
That's what happens when Liz Warren actually isn't sure whether the host is, an ally, a supporter, like most of the people in the mainstream media. And he was sharp. He was on his feet. She lied for 4 years. They all did. It was the greatest cover-up in American political history. And hopefully people like that host, aren't going to let it go, because we still don't have the full truth. We still don't know what happened between the debate and on June 27th and his stepping out of the race on July 21st. But if he was sharp as a tack and on his feet, Liz, why did he withdraw? Why did he quit? Why? Who forced him out? We need more. We need more details. And maybe we'll get from Kamala. Oh, we did get one detail from Kamala this week. This story is great. Before we go, I got to get to this. It's hilarious. We know that Kamala Harris burned through $1.5 billion in 107 days for one of the worst campaigns in American political history. We know she paid Beyonce. She paid Oprah $1 million to do that ridiculous town hall. This could be my favorite of all. This is from the Free Beacon. Kamala Harris paid $50,000 to the production company of billionaire NBA superstar LeBron James, who endorsed the failed Democrat candidate in a deceptively edited video attacking Trump days before the election. She had to pay LeBron James, who's worth probably $500 million, $50,000 to get his endorsement. She paid them all. She paid Beyonce and you name it, Jennifer Garner. She paid rapper Cardi B $58,000 to endorse her. She paid Al Sharpton, MSNBC host, member of the mainstream media, $500,000 to endorse her. And he sure did. What does an endorsement from Sharpton even do for you? But it didn't matter. She had free money. Suckers and fools out there gave her more than $1 billion, and she spread it around to people who really needed the money, like Beyonce and LeBron James. But that is just another indication of the absolutely pathetic campaign and how little people really felt, how little they really supported the woman. She had to pay for people to support her. She gave $165,000 to Beyonce Knowles' production company to speak for 4 minutes at her rally in Houston, and $1 million. She gave $100,000 to Barack and Michelle Obama. Man, you are not a good candidate when you have to pay Barack Obama to appear at your campaign events. There it is. All right, that will do it for today. Lots of stuff happening, man. Lots of stuff happening in the stock market. Let me check. It's up 833. We'll see if that holds.
It's going to be down 1,200 by tomorrow.
Okay, I shouldn't even mention it, but it's over 39,000. That's a good thing. Deals are coming. Deal with India is imminent. Deals with Japan, South Korea, they're coming. Sorry, Jamie Raskin. America is going to be better off when these deals are done. We will see. But that will do it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we will do it again tomorrow.
Thank you.
Oh, my God. Is she crazy?
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Oh, too many.